And it's on you. Oh, I was
This
gonna say
is
it's on
Killian.
you.
We gotta keep all this in. This is
Mhm.
Killian Mcmurphy. You're listening to the 3 Count Podcast.
I'm in fashion,
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring, and I'm your host Clifford Red Dog Miller. That's right, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. But like every good Sherpa, which by now I would hope you're calling me, you would think that you need to find someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently than you can. And that's why the person that we have today, he comes to us from Invictus. He comes to us from MCW, SWO, PWM, Flying V, Rise, Enjoy, Voltage, Camp Leapfrog, Pizza Party Pro, and PPW. He is a wrestler. He is a producer. He is an actor. He is a director. He is so many more things that I just cannot list everything he is. But more importantly, he is the Shamrock Shooter, Killian Mcmurphy.
Hello. That was a super campy intro. I like it.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, glad to be here. I want to ask you a question first, and you probably get this all the time. Are you the red dog because your name is Clifford?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, that is fucking sick.
That's like the one thing that a lot of people get thrown off of, and like it's so weird because I figured it would be just like that easy to like just it would just click.
Yeah,
like,
I got it the first time I heard
it. I've had people that were legitimately like, we do like the whole entire interview, and at the end they're like, I did not realize that's where Red Dog came from.
Yeah, I grew up like a massive Clifford fan, like the syndicated cartoon and the books.
Right.
So as soon as I saw that, I mean, like, as you can tell from my social media, is like children's media is my jam. So I haven't seen the new movie yet, though. Have you?
No, I haven't yet. But it's funny because like I've seen everything else that's kind of resembled from Clifford, right? Like even a Martin Short movie that came out like a long time ago. Like
right.
I've like the names kind of been everywhere, but yeah, I haven't checked the movie just yet. I will, but I haven't seen it just yet. But yeah, I've read all the books. I've had the TV show, John Ritter was actually one of my favorite voice actors until he passed away, and there's just so much other stuff that was just
that the actual voice of Clifford?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So the man from Three's Company was the man who actually voiced my.
Oh shit! I didn't
dog.
know that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I want to see it too. Like I'm not as big of a Clifford fan as you, but like I definitely was interested in it. But I saw the Tom and Jerry movie around the same time that the Clifford movie came out, and the Tom and Jerry movie sucked. So I was like, I don't want to like this. But I honestly think that Clifford leans itself much more to a 90-minute full feature film than Tom and Jerry. I don't think you can do, I think I've said this on like 4 podcasts, which is insane to think about, but I don't think you can do Tom and Jerry for 90 minutes. I just don't think it works.
Nah, like John Terry in itself was like a good like 15, 20 second, even like a minute sometimes long, like kind of cartoon. I know they told really good stories for like 5 minutes, but you could only do like that slapstick humor like so many times before it becomes repetitive. That's why like when you saw the introduction of like Spike, or you saw the introduction of his name Ducky, you saw like all those little characters that kind of like added little wrinkles, but ultimately it was all the same thing, like same paddle boards or the same trick with like where like Jerry would pretend that he's in the house and he'd come walk around the backside and like kick Tom and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And when you think about it, it's the most basic, the most formulaic of all those like chase cartoons where it's like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, which I think is like the most complex one. Like in a way, that's a parody of those chase scenes because they're so like absolutely absurd. And then the Tweety Bird Sylvester, of course, is another one, but that has like that had other side characters from the jump. You know, you had the grandmother, and I think there was a dog in that one too. Might have been the same dog. I don't know.
Well, it's weird though because like even like Tom and Jerry, like because they never spoke, right, till like
Right.
recently when they started giving like actual voices. But like when you look at like Butch, like the black cat that would be also coming in every once in a while when Tom was like trying to handle stuff, or
Right.
I forget the other character. There was like a red cat that like always get involved, but it was just weird. Like sometimes they're allies, and then sometimes they're always enemies, and sometimes they're allied to get like other
Yeah.
things taken care of. And it was like you can only do like these stories like every so often, but otherwise, like Tom and Jerry was pretty much repetitive. Or I think Clifford, and it's weird that we're getting off topic with this, but Clifford is more of that like the Curious George type kind of adventure where like
Right.
you
Yeah,
can always put him
exactly.
on a new adventure like everywhere.
Yeah, and the I think the new Clifford is an origin story too.
Yeah, I don't think
So
the one thing I didn't like about it though was like because in the book, like Clifford, like he just got bigger because he was a dog. Like it just made sense, right?
yeah.
Whereas in the movie, the way they explained it was like because the puppy grows as much as you love it, and so she just loves it, and it just gets massive. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. I guess I'll just wait to watch the movie to kind of like understand. But I was
Yeah,
like,
it's interesting, and it's sometimes cool and it's sometimes kind of too much like that, how these cinematic universes insist on explaining everything.
yeah,
When sometimes the rule of cool just works, right? You just be like, it just works, like it just is. Clifford is just big. Sonic is just fast. But like all these, like I think, yeah, and we talked about this before the show, so that we were going to talk about it. But I think what's going to happen in these new Sonic movies is they're going to start explaining why Sonic is fast, why Tails can fly, why Knuckles is strong, and I think that's all going to be chaos energy
yeah,
from the Master Emerald, which is like, in a way, it's the opposite of what you were talking about, right? Because it instead of keeping it open and vague, it like closes it in a way that's like actually satisfying and actually exciting. And it's like, oh, that makes sense in a way that the normal lore, even lore down to like specific comic books, or like, the lore feels like it changes every game. But even then, it was never as in a tightly wound package as it looks like they're going to with these movies.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because I was listening to Robert Redford when he was talking about Captain America's Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
and there were some certain lines that were in there, and he was just like he stopped him. He like asked the person in the screenwriting. He was just like, "Why would I say these things?" And they're like, "Well, you want to explain to the audience?" He's like, "But my eyes and the way that I'm giving my body language would also explain like that."
Yeah.
So I definitely love that aspect of like acting. But you're right. Like in this Sonic movie, I definitely feel like with Sonic 2, by the way, we are going to hop into this because this was a topic we both wanted to talk about. Because I'm a huge Knuckles fan, so that's why I like seeing Knuckles first appear. I was like, let's get
Are
this
you a
going.
Knuckles fan because of the Genesis games, or are you a Knuckles fan because of the adventure games?
I'm a Knuckles fan because of Sonic and Knuckles, like the
Yeah,
Sega Genesis game. I remember when it first came out, like I was so excited because like it had the extra cartridge on the top, so that
yep,
you could connect Sonic 2 to it, and you can actually place Knuckles in Sonic 2. And I was like, this is so
crazy,
much fun.
absolutely mind blowing. It's. I mean, say what you want about Sega and like, yeah, they fucked this up, yeah, they fucked that up, but they were so ahead of their time on so much stuff, and this kind of puts a negative spin on it in a way, but like that's the expansion pack, like that's the DLC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a way, and um, it's kind of it's not as memed on as horse armor in Oblivion, right? But it was like another step in that process, turning into the everything is fucked up by microtransaction. Online gaming has killed gaming world that we're living in right now. But
It's
uh,
been interesting though, because like I remember when Sega, like the Dreamcast came out, and it was like really one of the first systems that you could actually connect to the internet and
yeah, it
like
was the
and
first. It
play.
was the first. I have one literally right over there, and I was thinking about getting an Ethernet cord to it and seeing if the web browser still works. Um, you can. I think mine is hacked, so I could get into Fantasy Star Online like fan servers if I wanted, which is very very exciting. And I'm thinking about doing that. But the Dreamcast. To me, like the PlayStation 2 is always going to be the greatest system of all time. I think you say what you want about it. It was kind of behind technologically in a lot of ways, like PlayStation tends to do until now. Um, but I think the selection of games is crazy. But anyway, I think the Dreamcast is like in my top three systems of all times. Like I'd probably do PS2, Xbox, like original Xbox,
Yeah.
and then the Dreamcast, which is funny because like they're kind of all in the same generation of gaming that right before Call of Duty hit, right before
Right.
online gaming just became the absolute end all be all of games.
Well, what I find interesting is that, and since we're gonna chop it up about video games and stuff, like SOCOM was like one of the first games where you got to actually use like a microphone. Like
Yeah,
you could do the headset one, or you could do one that's on your throat, which was I thought was really cool. And then
yeah,
you could like give orders, and you could like direct your team around. And then
yeah,
like with the Dreamcast, what I thought was so cool was that you could pop off the memory cartridge, and you could play the games. You could play games on
yes,
it, and I thought that was
yeah,
so cool. And then like you just don't get that anymore. I mean, I know you have the Switch, right? And it is a cool system to play with, but
yeah,
it's just not comparable to what like those systems were because these were the innovators to all of that. And to be honest, like Sega was always leading the forefront. Like whether you were a Nintendo fan, you're into Super Nintendo, and even the Game Boy, you did have Genesis, and then you had the handheld. Like, oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
god,
The
like it
game,
was
the
so
Game
great.
Gear, the Game Gear
Yes,
definitely had its flaws. It needed 8 AA batteries,
it a
which
lot of
sounds like
batteries.
I'm memeing, but it's like no, it's not a meme. But you can plug it in too, which kind of defeats the purpose. But no, I'm frustrated because like of course it's been 20 years since the fucking Dreamcast came out, so I need to get new batteries in my VMUs. They only work when they're plugged in. But my dream is to be at a show and be able to do like mini games for my chow while I'm like raising them and feeding my sweet boys and say, Leroy Green, this is what a gamer looks like.
It's funny because we have had Leroy on the show, and we were definitely talking about what would it be like with the Switch and playing like Nintendo and stuff like that. But it's funny because like I grew up actually on the Atari system, and then went into Nintendo and just built from there. And like even my old man will tell you like he's like, yeah, Cliff's always been like the gamer type. He just loved it. I'm like, yeah, I still got to get an Xbox X or a PlayStation 5 and really decide which one I want to get, but.
Yeah.
I need to get tested because just like you in this closet, there is a Dreamcast just chilling.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm kind of in the middle too. I don't know what I'll get. I skipped the last gen. Like I the last new system I had was PlayStation 3.
Mhm.
Just skip the last gen. Friends of mine, like people in my life had systems, so like played Red Dead to like played all the iconic games of this generation. So Cuphead, fuck, I love Cuphead.
I love
Um,
Cuphead.
so there's always exceptions to those cool things. And there's cool things out. Sorry.
No,
Um,
it's funny because you bring up Cuphead. Actually, my newest logo for my gear is actually based off of Cuphead.
Hell yeah. Have you seen the series yet? The
Yeah, so my
Netflix
daughter and
series?
I watched all of them together.
Yeah, they're really, really good, really fun and creative and cute. Like I love what they're doing with that universe. But I think I'm kind of leaning towards getting an Xbox only because they did the unthinkable and made Elder Scrolls Microsoft exclusive, which is fucking crazy. I do occasionally, very rarely. It's like we're coming out with like 2-3 episodes a year. But I do a Elder Scrolls podcast called the Dovacast, Arrows to the Knee. Look it up if you guys want to listen to it. If you're big nerds like me, but you go back a year and a half ago or whenever there were rumblings of this. My co-host Lee was like, "Yeah, no way, no way. It's like too much casual appeal, too much money making it across all systems. You're gonna have to make it for the computer anyway. Like all these reasons why you wouldn't make Elder Scrolls Xbox exclusive." And then bam, Todd Howard hits us with it. I'm like, oh my god, holy shit.
Yeah, the buying of Bethesda was massive in this like
Yeah,
in the gaming world. Like You know, you think about like all the video games that they put out, and you're talking about Microsoft was like, yeah, we got them now.
Right.
Like you can still make games for PlayStation, but really, you're going to want to play it on Xbox.
Yeah, but to also be fair, like that was always the way you should have played Elder Scrolls anyway. Like until the re-release 5, 6, 7, 8 times of Skyrim, like you couldn't even play Oblivion on the PlayStation 2.
Right.
Was if you wanted to play it on a console, you had to play or Morrowind rather. Did I say Morrowind or Oblivion?
Oblivion, yeah.
Yeah. You can play Oblivion on the PlayStation 3, but it's like really fucked, right? Like a lot of the quest lines you can't finish. Like you'll have different weird glitches every time you play. Just like doesn't have the capability. Like I said, you couldn't even play Morrowind on the PlayStation 2. That was original Xbox exclusive. So it kind of makes sense, but also at the same time, like being a Sky baby at heart, like I've played Morrowind, I've played Oblivion, but I started with Skyrim. I fell in love with Elder Scrolls through Skyrim. It is a little frustrating for me. Skyrim on the PlayStation at that, like it is frustrating for me to not have the option to just get what system I want.
No, I understand. But we got to transition this over, man. So I'm going to ask the first question I
No
normally ask
wrestling
people.
questions. Oh,
Yep.
I've been trying so hard to avoid the wrestling questions. We made it 17 minutes. No
It's
wrestling
17
questions.
minutes in. But it just starts off, man. Who is Killian Mcmurphy?
Oh, God, I hate that question. You said you weren't going to hit me with any questions out of nowhere. Here I am rambling straight to Todd Howard's heart, and you're gonna hit me with that. I think this conversation that we've been having is a good indicator of who Killian Mcmurphy is. I am the
Yes.
amalgamation of pop culture.
You know what though? And you have like a great point to that, right? It's just like you're like people who get to know you understand that you're like this really well-rounded person. Like people can get to know the gamer side of you or the movie side of you. If you guys haven't seen Killian's short film with One Sunny Kiss, I saw it. I was taken away, and it's only it was like 5 to 10 minutes long, and it's
Yeah.
really it's just this incredible story between two people, and then obviously it has the shock ending, but I loved it, and I even like
Thank
I
you.
saw you at Fight, and that was the first thing I came and told you. I was like, "Yo, I'm such a fan of like the film that you did." I was like, I
Thank
thought
you.
it was so good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I owe a lot to. I mean, of course, Sonny like absolutely crushed it, knocked it out of the park, and Dustin, whose fingerprints are all over that. I had the original idea of it. Actually, to even before that, when we were promoting the Christmas special with Jay George and Erica, Sonny hit me up and was like, "Where's my cinematic?" Half jokingly. And I messaged him back. I was like, "Look, if you want to do one, like I'll come up with an idea in the next 48 hours, I bet." Not forcing myself to, of course, but like once you have that in your brain, all these options just start spinning and you're like, "Oh, I could do something so fucking crazy." And we were doing the holiday specials, so it's like obvious, why or that we would do a Valentine's Day special. So like, of course, within like 2 days, I was like, I got it. I know Sonny's strong suits. I know Dustin's strong suits. I know my own strong suits, and know what risks I want to take as a performer. And I know the flexibility that Dustin's writing style can allow. And it was just kind of like a perfect storm of all those things. I think that Dustin and I are both next level when it comes to cinematography, especially. And they were just very lucky and that was something that was all Sunny to be lined up with that beautiful quote unquote set that we filmed at. It was, perfect story. Even the snow. And like the day we filmed, we were supposed to have a show and it canceled. So we had way more time to film. and it sucked getting up there because of the snow. But like once we got up there and we saw the gazebo, we were like, "Oh my god, this is it!" And it's funny, the scene where we're at the gazebo, which is really the meat of the emotional core of February. There were people, as soon as we started rolling, people in vans got out and started snow blowing. And we're like, oh fuck, because like even if we had lapel mics, like you can't wear a lapel mic in a rom-com, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we were like, this audio is going to be fucked. But the genius that is Dustin picked up so many shots, picked them up in such a creative way. We had the really far away shot in particular that stands out to me, some like over the shoulder stuff. We were actually able to ADR that entire scene. So we just like dubbed our voices that entire scene. So the wind, the little bit of background noise, and everything we say, everything is artificial in that scene. So the fact that we were able to pull that off and still have people invested, like really crazy when you look at that compared to where we came from season 1 of the cinematics.
Well, it's interesting you bring up like the cinematics, right? Because I was actually at Sicken's place when you had your match with Phil.
That's cool. So that was the first ever cinematic that it was the I think third or second one that came out, canonically in order. But that day was the like first day of filming for the cinematics period. Like that's the first footage we ever got for this idea.
Nice. So I get to be a part of this cool little history because like in the background you just see me there with my like blue shorts. I was like,
it was so I wish
me.
We had told you guys to react to it, but like also part of me loves that you were just like casually going about your business, like people fighting in this backyard is something that happens every day, which like it's backyard wrestling, so it kind of should. I don't know. I'm really torn on that. Dustin hates it. Dustin's like, we should have told him to react, but that's
but
the
it's so
thing
great because it's like you have this massive fight scene going on, and then like off in the distance, there's like some dudes just kind of standing around.
Yeah, they're like chilling there with beers. Like at one point, somebody like kind of points and it's like, "Whoa!" But I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was funny. Dust hated it, but that's what season 1's for. I'm very lucky. Like I have my feelings about like how I believed the ball was fumbled a little bit with the 1CW bulletproof title reign. But it's also like, COVID, blah, 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 blah. It's part of the reason why we did the cinematics, right? Really the whole reason behind it. But I was very lucky to have that title when I did, giving me being the character of Killian Mcmurphy, like an MO to do this content. So it was very good to be able to get techniques down and develop. And even within those 1CW bulletproof title defenses, you can see a crazy shift like around the 4th episode where it goes from like, Bo Burnham in his basement to, a 90-minute inside. Like you see it. I don't want to compare that specifically, but I will compare February to that. Just like you see a beautiful growth in skill and production value, and I'm very fucking proud of not just myself, but Dustin is. If without him, like he's the catalyst, he's the genius behind it all. Very lucky to have him and his little Mojave editor.
Well, it's funny because we are talking about a wrestling program, but I'm just kind of curious, like, how did you get into the sport?
It's so funny that you call it a sport. I hate when people do that. So when you ask me how I got into it, are you asking me how I kind of like realized like, hey, I can do this, or how I actually broke into professional wrestling?
Yeah, like how did you what brought you into it? Like what what captivated you? Because obviously, like all of us, like pretty much have like a similar story where like we saw it on TV here one day, and then like
Yeah,
when did you realize like this is it?
I can never remember. It's like a lot of pop culture things, right? Like I can never remember wrestling not being in my life. Like I can. A lot of people be like, "Oh yeah, I remember when I first blah 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 blah," but it's just kind of like it's like using a computer. Like I've always known how to turn the power button on a computer on. I don't remember learning how to use a mouse and a keyboard. Like these are just things that like you develop. It's like a little kid when they're like, I bet if you ask the 3-year-old, speaking of those shit little kids outside, shut up. I'll kill them. Loud ass. But like if you ask a kid, like one of these shitheads in particular, in like 6 years, when did you learn to use an iPad? I bet they're not going to be like, oh, blah, 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 because these kids are coming out and they're immediately like, you know what I mean? It's something that always has been, and that's kind of professional wrestling for me. Like, I don't remember seeing The Undertaker for the first time, but there's a video of me like bouncing in a little place, whatever it's called, and like the camera pans over and the Undertaker's on television, lighting Boss Man on fire, which is really funny. Like you hear the gong and then like I kind of react and then it pans over to show like what I'm reacting to and it's the Undertaker. I'm like, Dad, you shot this so funny.
Well, it's funny because like you talk about like you've seen like the video of like the Undertaker, right? But you do have a bull rope, and you've had your first death match. I'm kind of curious, one, about your first death match experience, and then two, we gotta talk about this bull rope match that you got coming up too.
The death match, the no ring death match, the first ever death match in the history of the state of Maryland, which is something I'm really proud of, and it's really cool because fuck the Maryland State Athletic Commission and fuck any state athletic commission. They're criminals. There's, I mean, plenty of people that work in the commission that I love, right? But like the idea of professional wrestling being commissioned is absolutely absurd and the stupidest shit in the fucking world because it's theater, right? But anyway, very, very proud of the death match. Very, very lucky to work with Cass. I don't use this term lightly. I only use it for a very few select people, but a fucking genius. The thing he's doing with Tony Nese for Murder Mania. I'm so lucky to be on that show because he fucking fooled everybody and everyone's so excited for that. He is someone who's very invested in Dustin and very much believes in what Dustin can do. And it's great because I don't know when this is going to air, but maybe it'll already be up on YouTube. Myself and Dustin, the Goons, versus Puff and Casanova Valentine in a no-ring tag match, which is going to be absolutely nuts. But I'm very, very fucking excited to do deathmatch shit. It was something when I was kind of like in college, I envisioned myself doing. But then you get into wrestling, and it just seems so other. Like it seems so far away, at least in the crowds that I was running with. But you meet people and you develop and you take a bunch of acid and your idea of the art changes and you want to try a fucking death match. And when there's an opportunity to make history, I'm never ever gonna say no. So doing the first ever one in Maryland, love it. Fuck the commission. Love Stan, fuck the commission.
So let's talk about this bull rope match that you do got going on because
yes,
it is pretty heavy. I did get to check out the new promo video for it. I was very excited. It was definitely cool, the storytelling that's being told inside of that. So just give us a little bit more in detail into like what you got going on with it.
Well, Brad Rush, because he's got a problem, you could wish for anything in this ladder match, right? And he wishes for a little stick of marijuana. And I was like, of all the things, right? You could have, a title shot. Pancakes, he was going to wrestle Roman Reigns if he won. That's the kind of thing that was on the table. But no, all he wanted was some weed. What a goober. So he wins it somehow. So me and Dust take it because, I was out of weed. So we take it, we smoke it, we get pretty high because normally, don't tell anybody, but Dust smokes mids. This was pretty good weed. In fact, I have the roach right here that I broke up. I'm going to hit it right here. This one's for you, Brad. Oh my gosh. You're lucky, Brad. You're lucky. Anyway, here's the thing. Brad Rush doesn't stand a fucking chance against me. He wants to do his little movie magic, okay? He doesn't know anything about films. And speaking of films, if he really wants to see one, we're going to make a snuff film on April 9th. How about that?
Yo, I like
Here we go. Let's go, Brad.
So I'm kind of curious, right? Because, we've been talking about like death matches. We're talking about this bull rope match you got coming up on April 9th. I'm just kind of curious, though. What's been the worst bump you have taken?
I was Sanctuary heavyweight title or heavyweight champion for a while, and in the heavyweight title tournament, the finals, I believe. Yeah, it was definitely the finals. We were fighting around the church, and I took a suplex onto one of the pews, and it kind of like was one of those deals like, here's where I was landing. I kind of landed like here, so it was kind of like the so yeah, that was pretty shitty. You take like a lot of crazy stuff that's gone safely, knock on wood. Like the backpack driver, and then the guy gave the person who had me in the backpack a stunner. That looked really crazy. Yeah, I would say, but as far as like stuff that's actually sucked, probably the pew bump. The pew bump sucked.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun at all. Like at all.
No, it was cool. It was cool, but it sucked.
I was like, yeah, I bet visually, like it just looked awesome, but like,
yeah, and it was like a cool because the title tournament was like a big payoff to a very long feud that myself and Marcy Cabrera, who someone I made some like really cool fucking art with. Very, very proud of that match. Very, very proud of what we did. But it was all in the sanctuary, so that bump on the pew to kind of even the odds because I had skipped the last round and I had jumped in before the fucking match started and all those classic wrestling title tournament tropes were going on, and he had to do something to even the odds. So of course he uses the church against me. Pow. Playing field's nice and even because my back is broken in real life.
Damn. So we talk about post match, right? Or we talk about worst bump. I gotta know something because you do have the Super 8 city tournament that's going on in Invictus. You are on Team Baltimore. One, how does one prepare for 7 other cities? One of which parts unknown. We have no idea who's going to be attached to that. But 2, what's going to be that post match snack after your matchups?
Yeah, the City Open. That's this Saturday, the 26th, which is the same date as the Super 8. So two really cool tournaments happen in the same day. But if you're a wrestling fan in New Jersey or anywhere in the area, you can make both shows very easily. Plenty of wrestlers are doing it. Invictus, I think, starts at 4. The Super 8 won't start till like 7 or 8. So, and actually, no, I think Invictus starts at 2. Actually, I think the show should be like getting near the end at like 4 or 5. Anyway, you can make both shows. You can do it if you're a wrestling fan in New Jersey and you love tournaments, because who doesn't fucking love tournaments? You can make both, but I don't have a strategy. I have O'Shea Edwards on my team. And me and AK on the same team? Are you coffee coking joking me? That's the Goons, baby. O'Shea and the Goons collab is going crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I saw all the teams, and I put up on Twitter. I was like, because like the Three Count Podcast has interviewed a lot of people from all the different regions. So to see so many people in one tournament that we've had on the show, it's hard to pick a winner. But we're from Baltimore, man, so we have a
Yeah, I was
hometown
gonna say,
favorite.
what
We
the fuck?
know.
What do you mean it's hard to pick a winner? Come on, come on. Plus,
I
like,
was,
even if you weren't from Baltimore, you could be from the Netherlands. Just look at Team Baltimore. You can say what you want about Team DC. Grimm is cool. Jordan Blade's badass. Moses beat me up a bunch of times. Whatever. It goobers compared to O'Shea Edwards. He's a monster. And then I'm going to get on AK's shoulders, and then we're going to get on O'Shea's shoulders, and then we're going to get a trench coat, and then we're going to go and we're going to buy a bunch of lumber to rebuild our clubhouse.
that sounds like a big win. And
Yeah, it's going to be epic, as they say. Brad Rush, this one's for you, baby. I hope you're watching. Bradley.
But yeah, it's definitely cool to see like the City 8, because I remember when that was just a thought, like it wasn't even like fully conceptualized yet. And I've talked to Alex about it a couple times. So to see that this is a thing that's being done is super cool to see.
Super 8 and the City 8 on the same day.
It's gonna be wild. So
very cool to be a wrestling fan right now. Very, very cool to be a wrestling fan right now in New Jersey.
yeah,
Crazy the
that
amount of
weekend
talent
is
you'll
gonna
be able to
be
see that day.
yeah, Saturday the 26th is going to be very crazy because you said a Super 8, the City. You also have 1CWs be running in Delaware, which you guys can
That's
find
right.
me. So I'll be a part of them. Yeah, a lot of, and then for those who are longtime viewers, know that Prince Machiavelli, he'll be in PWX. So it's just a lot of shows that are connected to this show. It's a lot of fun to see everything kind of play out.
What are you doing at 1CW?
I don't know. They just
Nobody ever knows.
I don't. The thing is what makes it kind of funny for me is that like because I'm still young in this, and I go to a lot of veterans and ask them for advice, like on the show. Like when I show up to shows, I don't really ever ask. I'm just kind of like, "What do you want me to do?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we don't have an opponent for this person. You can do that." I'm like, "Cool, let's go," and just walk in and go.
Well, never ask advice from bad Banks because he's selfish and a bad friend, and you can tell him I said that.
Okay.
I haven't heard from him in like a month.
I'll let him know.
Ignore the fact that last time we were supposed to hang out, I'm like, yeah, I'm coming, and then I fell asleep. And I did not show up that day. I love Banks. Banks, one of my favorite people in the world. Him and Rob Radke were kind of the 1A, 1B like top students when I started at my original wrestling school. And you know how that is. The people that have kind of been there, done that very recently are usually the ones that hit up the more basic parts of like wrestling drills and the stuff, the kind of heavy lifting that the main trainer doesn't want to deal with. So learned a lot from Banks, and there's definitely a lot of good people like Banks, but him in particular can learn a lot from in that locker room.
That I would definitely I know we have him coming on the show. We have him scheduled up.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
All right. I'm doing send me the link that day because I'm going to do a run in. I'm going to pop up. I wonder if he'll smoke weed on air too. That'd be funny.
It wouldn't be the first time and probably won't be the last time.
Am I the first time? But who else has smoked weed on air?
I'm trying to think. There's been a couple other people who just
bastards
right there. Yeah.
That's my stick, taking my thing. Taking one of my many shticks.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious though, and I have to ask this question. Like, what's been like one of the hardest lessons that you had to learn in this business?
It's kind of like it's the basic thing that you hear all the time. It's like the business owes you nothing, but it's kind of also in the same breath, the importance of like taking the business for everything it can give you, if that makes sense too. Like it's a double-edged sword, and that's the wrong expression. It's like two sides of the same coin, kind of in a negative, scary light, and also in a motivational. I don't want to use vindictive, but it's like did you play sports growing up? Like it's that
Yeah.
athlete mentality of like wanting to be the best. Like, no, the business doesn't owe you anything, but it's also your job to take everything from professional wrestling.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it sounds badass, right? I just thought of it right now because of
Yeah.
Brad Rush's weed. This one's for you, Bradley.
Yeah. He's definitely.
I'm gonna tie the rope around his neck and watch him breathe his last fucking breath. How's that sound, Cliff? You like that?
Hey, yeah, I don't want to be an accomplice to murder, but if that happens, man, hey,
you're gonna know. You better
it was in a
You
ring.
better air this years and years once the statute of limitation runs out.
Facts.
I've been beating up Bradley for a long time. Crazy suplex bumps. I one time took Bradley and I suplexed him on a hay bale. And he bent like a psychic using a fucking spoon. It was crazy.
Oh, I remember it's like, it's weird that you mentioned hay bales because this one time I had taken my daughter out to go apple picking and these people had like a bunch of hay bales. And I was like, oh, it can't be that bad. And so I just jumped to do a bump. Yeah, no, it sucked.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, no, it there's no give to hay.
No.
Yeah, I knew that going in because I'm a big nasty hillbilly from the Eastern Shore, so I knew that was gonna suck. But yeah, I was beating the shit out of Brad Rush. It's just something I do. Just beating the shit out of Brad Rush for years and years and years. Going on 2. I guess it's not that many, but you know, beating the shit. You asked who is Killian Mcmurphy. I think I'm the guy that beats the absolute piss out of Brad Rush. I think that's the best description for my character.
That's a great description. And by the way, like I'm a redneck from Nebraska, so for me to like jump onto like a hay bale, and I was like, how bad could it be?
You should have known better.
I should have, but I didn't. I wanted to roll the dice.
Yeah, if it was a giant piece of corn, you're like, I know what that feels like.
Yeah. It was not good. So I'm kind of curious though, like what kind of advice would you give to up and coming wrestlers?
Quit.
All right, you know what?
You like that one?
Yeah,
that's my favorite. That's my favorite one. I like that.
I like that a lot. We're just gonna leave that one at that.
Yeah, no, I'm dead goddamn serious. Quit and stay the fuck out of my way.
So
don't ask me for shit.
You've been through a lot of different locker rooms. You've been through a lot of different areas, and I'm kind of curious. I need one do and one don't of the locker room.
One do is find me and smoke some weed with me. One don't is don't let your area expand, right? Like pile your stuff vertically, like using your bag. Does that make sense? Don't like explode your bag out this way. Like keep everything contained the best you can. You're gonna go to a show and see me like, everything's gonna be everywhere because I'm such a hypocritical piece of shit. But hypothetically, keep your little workstation neat.
Yeah. I take that into account when I go to other places. So like when I was at a show recently, and everybody just kind of looked at me kind of weird because like I think I took like maybe 6 cubic feet. It was just like small space that I was just like I get dressed in like one spot, but then all my stuff stayed together. And everybody's kind of looked at me.
Yeah,
it's weird. It was like a gym. It was this open area, and I'm just like in this small little spot, and I was like, I'm not trying to move, man. Like,
that's still good of you. That's still nice of you. I would have definitely been all over the place then. But, you know, one of those do as I say, not as I do. A lot of that.
All right, well, Those are kind of like all my heavy hitting questions, man, that I have.
Those were heavy. Whoa, those were the
Yeah,
heavy ones, the heavy duty ones. Keep
but
your
we gotta get in.
workstation neat.
We gotta get into the second best segment of the Three Count podcast, which you probably wondering what's the first. It's the Red Dogs Power Rankings that you can find every Sunday on our debate show. But this is the Three Count podcast, 10 count questions, and Killing. This is how it works. I'm gonna fire off 10 questions at you, rapid fast.
Okay.
And whatever's your answer, that's your answer.
All right, deal.
All right. So we're gonna put on imaginary time for added pressure. Bing! And here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
Raw.
Favorite color?
Blue.
PlayStation or Xbox?
Dreamcast.
Let's go. Favorite movie?
American Psycho, but I get it. I'm not one of those people who think I'm Patrick Bateman. I actually understand that it's a feminist film. Next question.
Marvel or DC?
Dark Horse.
Okay, yeah. Favorite submission?
Huh?
Favorite submission?
Wrestling?
Yes.
Crossface chicken wing. It's my finish.
All right. When it comes to the Joker, is it Heath Ledger or is it Jack Nicholson?
It's me. I'm the Joker.
Favorite podcast?
This one, the 3 count with Red Dog.
Bet. Nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
Dust.
Let's go.
Actually, Nelson Bauer.
I'm in for both of them.
Yeah, bring them both at the same time. That'll be absolute hell.
And last but not least, my favorite question asked every person that comes on this show. Favorite curse word?
I guess fuck, right? Like that's what I've been saying a lot on the podcast.
I mean, it works. A good F-bomb is what every person needs.
People are so loud. Christ. Weather gets nice. You want to open some windows. People don't know how to stay inside themselves, huh?
But those are all the questions I have. So the last thing I have, though, is Killian. Let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
The Shooter KM on Twitter, at Killian Mcmurphy on Instagram, Killian Mcmurphy on YouTube. You can find all that cinematic content that we were plugging earlier. Arrows to the Knee. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, we're all over the place. If you want to, nerd out with us talking about Elder Scrolls and complaining about Todd Howard. And go see Sonic 2 so we can get a million more Sonic movies.
Hell yeah. I remember when that first Sonic trailer dropped and everybody was like, I remember looking at you, I was like, who the hell is this? Because this is not Sonic. And then the studio got bullied into redoing it.
Crazy how far we've come. And now we're at the point where the trailer is so hype. Crazy. The Death Egg robot. Oh my God. I can't believe I have early access tickets. And I'm gonna go on social media and I'm gonna act like I got them from Sega.
But even the movie poster itself, like having elements of the Sonic 2 video game in it.
Amazing.
Chef's kiss.
Amazing. They have some very smart people in their ear now saying, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. So
very cool. Don't give him like the big puppet hands. Don't give him fingernails. Like that was very weird.
Yeah. I have a lot to say about the Sonic design in general that I think there's some issues with, but I'm not gonna nerd out that hard. You can find that content on my Twitter if you really want to see me freak out about the length of quills or the size of fingers.
Bet. There you have it. You guys can check out his stuff. But like every good wrestling match, we got to take this home. Because this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering Ring. And I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. But it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. And you see him right next to me. It's the Shamrock Shooter himself, Killian Mcmurphy. And you guys know what to do. Tune in to the next episode and be there. Or you just wait for this episode to end. You wait for the outro. And then you choose another episode to listen to. Peace.
Fuck Brad Rush.
What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want you to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3 Count _pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count Pod. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give us a subscribe, turn the bell on, turn on notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. At prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So, show us some support, please.